Did I really name this video something Billie Sheezus? Am I really comparing this amazing artist, 070 Shake? Am I somehow reducing her by comparing her to two of the greatest artists of our time? Am I really comparing another album to Yeezus? I mean, I just did a little search in my notes app, and here's an incomplete list of artists I've compared to Yeezus. Tyler, the Creator, Travis Scott, Magdalena Bay, JPEG Mafia, Schoolboy Q, Childish Gambino, Kid Cudi, Bad Bunny, called him El Yeezus, Yeet, called him Yeezus, Slow Tie, Brockhampton, Lil Baby, Beyonce, Kendrick, Rosalia, Corday, Donda, IDK, Driss, and of course Kanye himself. And yes, I've already compared 070 Shake to Yeezus. Not just Kanye, but Kanye era Yeezus. Now this makes sense in some ways that I often think about this, because someday, this is a threat, I'm going to do a ranking of all features on Kanye projects. And it is my suspicion that 070 Shake on Ghost Town may be the best feature on any Kanye song of all time. Okay? Yes. Even better than Jay-Z's Monsterverse, okay? So it makes sense. I've ever since that moment, like many people, I've been paying attention to her. It makes sense because she works a lot with Mike Dean, and it makes sense that she's on Kanye's label and he's not. Is she the only person on good music? Does anybody make good music anymore? Is it just her? I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe Sheck West is gonna come out of nowhere and come back. I hope so. But why do I compare so many things to Yeezus? Well, it's, one of my 3 or 4 favorite albums of all time. It's one of the few albums I listen to sort of in my mid-20s to my early 40s, my period of music death. But also just, what's the point of a revolution if no one follows you? And I really see that album as being super revolutionary in terms of the way it depicted the protagonist, as an artist entering middle life, trying to figure out what's wrong with him and how does what's wrong with him affect people around him and how does it stop himself, love and the rejection of love and the acceptance of love. But really it's the soundscape that interests me the most, just the raw sounds, the doubled voices. There's a kind of dusty epicness. I think that's the way that I refer to it. And that's what is rarely found. And in my opinion, when you hear it, when you hear that level of attention paid to music that sounds that raw and that rough, that just enters me into that Yeezus space. But listen, that's not going to be this whole review, because 070 Shake is not just that. She goes beyond that. This album shows a lot of artistic growth. She actually does not rely on the thing that is her trademark sound, her sort of, kind of way. Sorry, I've got the garbage trucks in my neighborhood have bad brakes, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. Like she has kind of like a certain tone, a certain way of saying yeah, a certain sound that you just say, oh, that's the 070 Shake sound, and she doesn't really use that. I think her songwriting is better here. I think the production is more modular than her last album, and there's a lot of different parts that are able to come together and still be very cohesive. But that's just half of my ridiculous title. That was just the Yeezus part. What about the Billie part? Am I really comparing her to Billie Eilish? I think I am. I mean, she's got an intimate voice that you can connect with and that can be small and big, right? That's a thing that both those artists have in common. Of course, they're both women. They both exhibit a kind of beauty without glamour, a kind of femininity without girliness, a kind of queerness without centering queerness. It's interesting that it's not the point of either of their music, but it is obviously a huge influence on their music. And the vocal production. Just the ability that they have to use their voices in such interesting ways and find producers and work with producers who know how to get the most out of that voice. This isn't Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston or something where they just have such an amazing voice and it doesn't fundamentally matter what you do because it's just going to do what it does. Like, they are able to get the most out of it. And it was really the fact that what makes me so interested in Billie Eilish is that, she really is two people. It's her and her brother who do everything, and he's this excellent producer who works with her, and there's the same The same thing for 070 Shake with a guy named Dave Hamlin. Hamlin? I don't know how to pronounce it. Canadian dude. And, you know, he's worked a lot with Mike Dean. He's sort of in that Mike Dean school. And he's going to win some Grammys this year because he did a lot of production for the new Beyonce album. But, like, the way they work together, it's very clear that he has figured out how to make 070 Shake albums. And that she has learned how to write songs with this guy to make this absolutely spectacular, awesome album, which is both worthy of the ridiculous title of Billie Eilish and does not deserve such silly music cricket reduction. Thank you for auditing the Always Positive New Music Review Show, hosted by a French professor who does not want to deny the uniqueness of the album. You know, I review a lot of music, right? 3 albums a week, sometimes 4, sometimes 2, but usually 3 albums a week. And, you know, there's some albums that I regret. Like I don't want to stop listening. Some of them I kind of have to push through. You know, I have to kind of analyze and think about what they are, and I'm happy to be done with them. But this one is not one of those. This is one I'm sad to let go of. This is one of my favorite albums of the year, just on a listening basis. My whole family enjoys it. I think that 070 Shake is going to be the New Jersey artist of our generation. You know, it seems like every generation gets their New Jersey artist. You know, Bruce Springsteen, My Chemical Romance, maybe it's her. She's from North Bergen? And I really enjoy the contradiction of the title and the cover and the soundscape. So it's called Petrichor. And if you don't know what Petrichor means, you think it's like, that's the druid god of death and decay. Petrichor. Oh, yeah. Have you heard Deicide's new album, Petrichor? Oh, man, it's sweet. Oh, does that band play Petrichor? Yeah, man, Petrichor is sweet. Petrichor is the description of the smell after the rain. So it actually did rain here in Rochester, New York, over the night. I am in Petrichor, and it has a word that's kind of an ugly, brutal word for a beautiful thing. Much like this album is at times ugly and brutal while always being beautiful. Weirdly enough, I've already... Okay, this is a quiz for who is the absolute realist Professor Skye fan. What is the other Petrichor that I talked about on this channel? You tell me in the comments, and I don't know. I'll give a shout out for your birthday. I'll do a shout out video. I'll make a private shout out video if you can tell me the other time I talked about Petrichor. First person to do so. And you know, this theme of the album, it's very in that space that I really enjoy, which is the sort of regret and chaos of young love. Regret, a very intense, raw regret. A lot of it is in that Yeezus space of like, why do I keep doing all these things I keep doing? Whoa, you know, I think a great example of lyricism from this album is 2 a.m. Spiral. I can't keep my eyes closed. It feels though like, you know, she's found somebody and she loves them, but she doesn't know how to not let go. Okay? That's different than how to keep somebody. How to not let go. It seems like she's in constant battle with herself and somewhat incapable of not letting go. And it ends up being this very kind of clear theme. The album starts off with the words, I'm falling out of love, and the album ends with the lyrics, I love you. And it feels like it's all the same thing. Now listen, I don't like biography, okay? It's one of my things. I try to stay away from like celebrity gossip. But I can't help it. I can't help what the people around me say. So, you know, my 16-year-old daughter loves 070 Shake just like I do. And she's like, oh, is this all about Lily Depp? I was like, what do you mean is this about Lily Depp? The lady from The Idol? Yeah, they've been dating. And so then I listened to the album like 10 times before I knew that fact. So it is kind of interesting. I have been threatening to do an Idol video for a long time. Maybe I will during the downtime. The Idol is a mostly good show with perhaps the worst ending in the history of television. Perhaps, okay? But I would defend, actually, most of it. But then the ending is so bad, it actually undoes the good parts. So, like, you're feeling like, oh, this is terrible. Actually, it's kind of hard. Actually, it's really good. Oh, actually, it's really bad. Actually, it's okay. Actually, it's okay. And then the end is like, so anyways. But I think she's fine in that. So I don't know. Now it's in your head, too. If you didn't know, I didn't know. That's an interesting couple. It's an interesting couple because it's a very different life experience, right? I mean, Vanessa Paradis is like one of the biggest pop stars in the history of French music. Johnny Depp is obviously Johnny Depp, and it's a fairly chaotic couple, but obviously access to wealth and travel and prestige, and you know, you have your foot in any door that you want to go to, versus being of Dominican descent from North Bergen, New Jersey, and trying to figure out your way. So it is an interesting idea that when I listened to it again, it made this maybe more interesting as kind of like a story of a celebrity love couple that like I'm sort of into that couple because I like Lily Rose Depp and I like 07. Look at me. I became one of those guys. I might as well just go out and buy Star magazine or People magazine. I used to subscribe to Entertainment Weekly. I loved it. And then when it went out of business, they started sending me People. Like it's the same thing. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I know you ordered a steak, but here's a bag of uncooked meat. Is that good enough? All right. If you like what you see, smash like bucket, subscribe. AVAA is how you say awesome videos always. I will always heart those comments. That is up until YouTube started hiding how to read all my comments, but I'll try to get to them. Give it a shot. At least engage the video, boost this up, because listen, this album should be getting a lot more heat than it has. This album should be like, oh, is this an early Grammy contender? Oh, did they screw up not releasing this before August 31st? Oh, is this one of the albums of the year? That is the question. These are the discussions that we should be having. I need to check my baby monitor. Good. So it starts off with a piano and a voice, and it's the strength of her, it's the strength of the piano, it's the strength of her songwriting, the strength of her vision. Sorry about the news, I'm falling out of love. Push your buttons, you got way too many. I just want some love if I can't get plenty. She's a very good lyricist, right? I want some love if I can't get plenty. She wants plenty, she wants to be loved. That's the whole, like basically the album is pretty clear. It's like she's somebody who doesn't feel that she has enough love and she doesn't know how to get it. So she's trying to get it from one person, but she might not know how, and so if she doesn't know how to, or if she can't get it from that one person, then she'll try to get some. And trying to get some is what will undo the plenty, right? Because if you just want some love, and you spread your love around to many different people, you're not going to end up with the amount of love that actually fills you. All right. That's just the battery. It's just the battery. My baby's not even moving. I have to turn it off. It builds up so great to this little pause in the piano, and then this double guitar comes in, and it's all epic. It's all this great, dusty, epic sound. It's this little stilted waltz, and it ends with this flange. Then we get to the song Elephant, single guitar notes, doubled voice, lowered, I'll be your elephant, real Yeezus-y style here, but then break. And it's like New Order style. It's like an 80s style single guitar, clean guitar line, down, 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 down. It's great. Now listen, the lyrics, some of it's, you know, your bog standard. I do too many drugs. Why do I do drugs? You know, a little bit of that. But then it gets more interesting with the chorus itself. I can be your elephant. I'll remember everything. I'll be your hell or heaven sent. Am I under your spell again? It's an interesting idea of just like, what is her relationship? It's not a very sexy thing to call yourself an elephant in a relationship. Hey, baby, I'll be your elephant. You know, that's not... I made it sexy, but it doesn't... It's not inherently sexy. This is my sexy elephant bathrobe. But, like, it's an interesting idea. I'll remember everything. I'll be your hell or heaven sent. Am I under your spell again? So there's a whole kind of like push and pull of who is the antagonist in this relationship. Who is screwing up? Is it her partner or is it her? Like, I'll be your elephant means that means that her partner's screwing up. I'll be your hell or heaven sent, which means either she's the problem or her partner's the problem. Am I under your spell again? Meaning the partner's the problem. And just all these different voices come in. At a certain point, there's that low sound. Lead guitar is just everywhere. Repeats the chorus again. It ends up being super catchy. If you haven't seen the music video to this, check it out. It's funny because it's like her singing, you know, in her baggy clothes, just on a stage with a bunch of ballerinas, like male and Are male ballerinas called ballerinas? Or are they called ballerinos? There's ballerinas and ballerinos, and she's not dancing. She's not even really lip syncing. You know, it's like she's just too raw for this world. Pieces of You, ooh ah, builds all big and ominous, more voice, more distortion, and then it just stops, and then her voice ends up being so pure at a certain point here, like no vocal production. You hear actually like, she can actually, you can sing so well. Like, I can just sort of imagine, you know, like her mom or whatever, provided her mom's still around, just like, you sing so well. Why do you always put on so many sounds? Why don't you just let your voice go? But that just super vocal production, and these strings come in, and it ends up like kind of rap production. Like, she's not a rapper, right? Like, she doesn't rap, but like, I don't know. She sort of does. You know what I mean? Like this album thematically fits in with a lot of rap albums, you know, the themes of sort of regret and trying to figure out how to grow, at least with the modern, more emotionally mature rap that we get to listen to. And the production is often kind of rap-like. Anyways, and it leads perfectly into Vagabond. If you've never seen the Agnes Varda movie, Vagabond, please check it out. It's an amazing movie about a vagabond, about a young woman who doesn't have a home and is just moving around, and she's like borderline feral, and it's an amazingly upsetting, disturbing, beautiful movie that's also deeply feminist and satisfyingly questioning capitalist ideals. So if you've never seen Vagabond, check it out. That's where I kind of see this. This ends up being sort of a sloppy waltz, like a nice kind of sloppy waltz. Reminds me a little bit of the soundtrack of the video game The Seventh Guest, which I talk about a fair amount because I used to play that game when I was in high school. I'll call 1,000 times, you gave into the consequence of letting me in, no longer am I a vagabond. So it's there. That's what this album is, okay? You gave into the consequences of letting me in. So like, it's your fault that you took in this vagabond, which is an interesting idea. I gotta say, this album, okay, I'm not a celebrity watcher, and I don't wish ill on anybody. This album feels like a breakup album, a mature breakup album, but this feels like what is said, everything in here feels like what is said before you eventually just say, listen, this was great, but I gotta move on. And definitely this kind of theme is there. Just super maximal production, just guitar solos cutting in and out, and all these modular changes, all these voices together, all these themes of commitment. This lead guitar added, it's so full. She's really in her kind of bad guy mode, and it ends with this like little string outro and like cowboy guitars, and then that's all this kind of sweet sounds ends up being jarringly juxtaposed next to lungs. Ooch, 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 ooch. Actually, the sounds remind me a little bit of the soundscape of the Alien movies. If you haven't been paying attention to Professor Skye lore, I have officially stopped paying attention to politics because it fills me with so much impotent rage I can barely even walk. So, although I was actually, interestingly, the channel is going to be ending. Trump just appointed me. I'm going to be the director of short, very edited YouTube videos. So it's really good because it's the thing I know. Okay. So anyways, I can't. So all I do is I listen to audiobooks from the Alien franchise. That's what I do now. That's how I distract myself. So hit me up in the comments if you want to discuss the value of Out of the Shadows versus River of Sorrow. Anyways, it's a very mad and cool sound here. It's very short and anxious. She does have a nice poetic streak to her. If the sun explodes and there's nowhere to run, would you come with me to go find another one? It's kind of a silly lyric, but it's also fun because, you know, what's going to be the end of the world? Nothing to do with the election. It's going to be heat death. Even if we blow up the entire world and everything falls apart, we're still going to have a world. Eventually, there's going to be the heat death of the sun. You know, so the idea of what goes beyond that, this doubled voice, what comes first, this weird kind of organ out, like this organ comes in and then leads into Your Garden, which has almost like a Debussy-style piano opening, these descending notes, so well produced. I'm happy that Hameline Amelin is going to win so many Grammys this year with Beyonce because he's a great producer. We'll crash like the waves, then it'll pull me back to you. And then she says, here I go again. And when she says, here I go again, that's like the line where you expect the 070 Shake trademark, you know, here I go again. You know, you expect that, but instead it's into your garden. And it's more like sweeping and maybe even more poppy. And then all of a sudden these drum beats come in. And then the drum beats change in the second verse. And then the third verse, she goes into an entirely different register of speech. She starts talking in more kind of street speech. The grass is greener over here. Shoddy. Okay? Like she just throws in the shoddy. And we gonna ride till the rim's fallen. This might be because it's introducing JT's verse, you know, from the City Girls. My initial take was this verse was kind of extraneous, you know, all about like an ex and I heard about it and didn't wife you and all that stuff. But the more I listened, the more I listen to this, the more I like it. Like the more I realize it fits in just perfectly here. There's not a lot of guest appearances on this album, but this one actually does work really well. This great languid doom, doom, dap, suspenseful beat, and the sound of rain, which makes you think, oh, it's gonna be Petrichor time. We get to the next song, Battlefield. This album is so good. Have you heard this album? You probably have if you're watching this review. Have you heard how good Battlefield is? This church organ and great Mike Deanish produced bass sounds, and then this just singing with just a guitar, and it's just so upbeat. It's just like this it's Petrichor. We just had this rain and now we're lifted up. Every day the sun comes up. I'm recording at sunrise. Now I do live in the wintry paradise of Rochester, New York. So the sun is not exactly out this late in November, but there you go. Then when the drums come in, it's got the kind of beat. It's a little like, you know, kind of like head nod beat because the drums are a little bit behind the beat. Kind of a rappy second verse. Brady, how this moment passed. Keep me out this empty flask. Empty party, empty path. Wheels just landed, where am I at? Sort of the empty, weird life of a celebrity. Just all these weird voices in the background. And then we have someone talking about like being in love and being with somebody, and then an explosion. So I don't know. I can't figure out who this person is. I assume it's someone from Ukraine discussing what it's like being in love and war, and just understand that that's happening right now. You know, understand that right now, in several places in the world, there are lovers who are woken up by an explosion and the feeling that their life might end at any time. It's not so bad being cold in your porch, is it? Then we get to Winter Baby / New Jersey Blues. Hey, thank you. Can we please let women have fun with Beach Boys as well? Does it only have to be sweaty 30-year-old dudes with beards in Brooklyn trying to recreate the Beach Boys sounds? Can we? You know what I mean? I'm referring to myself, by the way. I've never lived in Brooklyn, but I've been sweaty and 30 years old and trying to recreate the Beach Boys sound. You know, it's awesome. I really enjoy this. It's kind of playful, but again, it all fits within this theme of the album of love found, love squandered, love lost, love refound. Love? Is love still there? We don't quite know. Your fruit hanging like a chandelier. It's going to be a cold winter if you're not right here. I don't know what fruit is, but it's sexy. And then the chorus is just full-on Phil Spector-inspired, Beach Boy-inspired stuff. Be My Winter Baby, a fun kind of 50s, you know, early 60s Beach Boys style lyric. And then we get this whole outro, toxic fumes, processed foods, I paid my dues, and I did my time, now I'm coming home to you. And that's the idea, that she's like, is she coming home? Is she ever actually going to come home? And in this case, I now have the image of Lily Rose Depp as the person she's coming home to, but just the theory of the love, her match, the one. Is she going to come back, or is she going to keep just... You know, it's like... I wish there was some way to, like, describe this, but there's, like... If there was some kind of, like, I don't know, epic poem or something about, like, a great hero who goes off to fight, and when they have to come home, like the god of the ocean keeps on throwing new challenges to delay his return to his beloved one, and you're never quite sure if he's going to come. Oh, you know what? That does exist, actually. It's called the Odyssey. and he's trying to get back to Penelope. And there's all these things that get in his way. And those things that get in his way sometimes are like, the terrible, Cyclops or whatever. It's like a war. But one time there's a thing called a siren, the sirens. And the sirens like live on the rocks and they call out. And Odysseus he knows, it's representative of sex, right? They're sexy ladies, and theoretically they would call to him and he would go to them to bone. That's what you want to do with the sirens when you hear their voice. So he ties himself to the ship's mast, okay, and so that he can hear their voice without actually going to them. And I don't know, why am I going on this weird tangent about the Odyssey and Penelope and sirens? I don't know. Okay, let's go to the next song. It's called "Song to the Siren." Feeling myself. Okay, it's called "Song to the Siren," featuring Courtney Love. "Song to the Siren." You want to talk about a tangent? I got to talk about "Song to the Siren." I love this song. "Song to the Siren," written by Tim Buckley, father of Jeff Buckley. A song that is so beautiful and moving, it might as well be a Jeff Buckley song, although Tim Buckley does not deserve to be discredited. It was first performed on the comedy TV show The Monkees. The final episode of The Monkees was the first performance of this amazingly moving song. That's not the strangest thing. It was first recorded by literally the face of whitewashed rock and roll, Pat Boone. Literally, when you watch documentaries about rock and roll and they say, how did record companies take rock and roll, steal it from black people, and give it to white people? It wasn't Elvis, it was Pat Boone. A womp bump a loo bump, a womp bamboo. I have in my possession an autographed picture of Pat Boone to my mother, who was literally the president of the Pat Boone fan club when she was a teenager. Anyways, Pat Boone was the first person to record this song. And you cannot believe his version. First of all, you can't fight the power of the song. It's still moving, but it opens up with "Whoa, ho, ho, and a bottle of rum." I am not joking. I'm not joking. The first recorded version of this song that has moved people to tears for decades was "Whoa, ho, ho, and a bottle of rum." Eventually, Tim Buckley would record it in 1970, and then it would become way more famous, the version covered by This Mortal Coil in 1983, which helped unlock the fact that the song was secretly a shoegaze indie dreamscape all along. It was never a weird hippie song for the frickin' Monkees or Pat Boone. I then became aware of the song because it was in a commercial for perfume, Noah Cacharel. I'll include a link to that commercial. I saw that commercial before all these movies when I lived in France. And so it's a song. Everyone knows the song, but it's great. It's great because the way that it's placed here, it's an album about trying to come home, and the siren represents the block. And I love her vocal fry. It's like 070 Shake has zero vocal fry on the rest of the album, but she has it here. Could it be because she's recording with Courtney Love? Maybe. Courtney comes on. I really enjoy her here because I don't. I'm a child of the 90s, okay? I remember when Hole came out. I just never liked Hole. I never liked Courtney Love. But I respected her. Great actress. Man, People vs. Larry Flint. She was great in that movie. I think she's an interesting character, an interesting person. Never particularly liked her voice, and this is her voice. This is just her. But it's great because it's symbolic, I mean, she is sort of symbolic. She fits well in the sort of Shake-averse of the kind of women that she could perhaps be or try to avoid being. I do appreciate that they've returned to the original lyric. I'm as puzzled as the oyster. Apparently, Tim Buckley, the lyrics, by the way, are written by someone named Larry Beckett. Credit to Larry Beckett. Originally, when Tim Buckley sang the song on the Monkees, he sang, I am as puzzled as the oyster. Someone laughed at him, so he changed it to, I'm as puzzled as a newborn child. And dear God, that is a worse lyric. I'm as puzzled as an oyster. It's a beautiful lyric. What the hell do oysters know? Anyways, thank God Courtney Love is still alive. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate that she's still around, that she still survived. I used to listen to a lot of Howard Stern in the early 2000s, and she would just show up on that show super high, and Artie Lang would be going crazy on her, and it was funny, but it was also really sad. I love the noisy, messy drums. Then we get to the song, What's Wrong With Me? Great arpeggiated synths, just on and on. Did I just say that there's no vocal fry on the rest of the album, and then there's vocal fry on this song? All right, I screwed up. It's okay. This is like my last video before I take that cabinet position. I'm also going to be the leader of the not wearing bathrobes committees. It's gonna be 2 verses, you know, just when I feel safe. This turned into an escape room, going back to the same theme of not knowing how to be happy and how to find a home with somebody, and just repeating over and over again, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And this lyric, 2 a.m. spiral, I can't keep my eyes closed. I see our potential, oh, I'm so special, oh, she can't even say I'm so special, I'm not special, kick back that pedestal. I said recently, just last week, if you put a woman on a pedestal, you hate that woman. You think you love her, but you love the idea of that woman. You're not treating her as a human being. Do not put anybody on a pedestal. It's not a place to be. True love is founded on equality, okay? Not on subservience or adulation, because that pedestal will never result in a happy love. So, get all people off all pedestals. Stay for the ride, just leave on a high note, 2 a.m. spiral, I can't keep my eyes closed, I can't keep my eyes closed. That kind of sense of regret. And then like a Jersey club beat comes in. All these ratty synth layers. Then Blood on Your Hands. Like, how many songs on this album are going to be like the song of the album? There's like been 5 songs that are like, oh no, this is the example. Oh, this is the example. It's basically spoken word. I needed to see that you love me, and that's why I made a girl cry. Now I'm swimming in your tears. I'll be the same when they dry. Beautiful lyrics about a relationship. This feels like a very real relationship song, a very real, troubled, young person relationship problem. I don't want to be like our parents. They said they'd be here forever. They were just wrong. They didn't lie. I don't want a miserable life. They didn't lie. Like, giving your parents the grace to say that they were just wrong and they didn't lie, that shows a lot of growth. That's a painful thing, and it's true. As a parent, I can tell you, like, I never lie to my kids, but I've been wrong. I think I found my soulmate when we were on our first date. I already knew I was going to say, I love you and I'm scared. What's life without fear? Like, this is a really, can we get this album to be triple, quadruple, platinum, diamond, whatever? Because this will help people who are in this kind of relationship, who, frankly, this doesn't sound like it's the healthiest relationship based on how this is described, like saying if you want to, but whatever, who knows? What do I know? What do I know? Some jerk on his porch. But like, if I die, I want you to be the one who kills me. I want my blood on your hands. It's just this like very dramatic, theatrical sense of this kind of deep, deep love. And it ends with this really weird, genuine moment of spoken word. But then I listened to it, I got confused, because I'm like, why does it say, I love you, Danny? And this is before I knew about her relationship. So I'm like, is she with somebody named Danny too? Are there 2 people named Danny in a relationship? That would be weird. But it turns out it's actually Lily Rose Depp talking here. And it feels, I won't give up on this, but I'm struggling and I have to let it off my chest somehow. I'm very blue writing this. I hope it goes away by the time I see you tonight. I love you, Danny. Oh my God, this is too much. This is too real. This is just a very real end of relationship, end of well-cherished relationship stuff. Yikes. Never Let Us Fade. I don't like this song. I'm just gonna skip it. It's been a long enough video. It's okay. But it ends with the song Love, which I do love. More 50s style, kind of a sway song, double voice, altered and weird. It's a languid outro on an album filled with songs that could be languid outros. The drums come in slow and cool, and there's this great, huge guitar solo. You kidding me? This is it, huh? This is it. That's all you needed me for. That's all you wanted me for. We'll start again sometime. Start again sometime. I love you. So the album begins with I don't love you and ends with start again, I love you, creating a perfect loop. And you know, that works. That works. These are my Patreons. I don't own any 070 Shake, and I need to buy some. I don't know if I'm going to buy the CD. Maybe I'll buy the signed vinyl. I think I'll buy the signed vinyl. I think I'll do that because I'm a stupid idiot who likes autographs. I can't help it. I grew up loving baseball. I'm not a stupid idiot. I like autographs. I do. Also, you know, I am not European. I'm American. And it sucks because 070 Shake is touring with Quatica. Oh my God, that tour is going to be so good. So if you live in Europe, you must go see that tour, okay? I don't care. I don't care what part of Europe you live in. You live close enough. Go see that tour. Tell me how it is. ProfessorSkyBusiness@gmail.com. Maybe I'll share your thoughts somewhere. Okay. All right. Well, I will turn on my baby monitor, see how she's doing. Okay. Same position, but she's turned over. So she's probably stirring, but not like fully awake. Till next time, there's the camera.